Welcome to the Music Cave. Today I'm with a good friend of mine, Charles Glover, who is a saxophone player and a teacher, and so glad you're here. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You have an interesting story. Right before the pandemic, you took a great job on a cruise ship that didn't turn into a great job.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Can we hear about that?
Yeah, so 2020, in February, I took a 6-month contract to play on a cruise ship, so it was a really great situation. It was like 3 hours of music a night, and then I'd have the rest of the day just to practice, to chill, to do anything I wanted. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted opportunity. I wanted to be able to play and then just practice all night.
Nice.
And so, yeah, February it started and it was going great. And then when the lockdown happened in March, they ended up canceling everybody's contract, and I ended up being stuck on the cruise ship for an extra 2.5 months.
Oh.
So just no pay. We were ported in Miami. I just couldn't get off.
I remember that because I remember sending you messages saying, hey, let's bust you out of this thing.
Yeah.
So they canceled the contract. That doesn't seem right, that they could cancel the contract and then on top of that not let you leave the ship. Yeah. Why wouldn't they let you leave the ship?
Yeah, so at that time COVID was pretty new, and
yeah.
Even though we were all, quarantined on the ship, nobody had left, nobody got back on. We didn't have any cases on the ship. I think it was just a matter of spreading anything that could have happened. Actually, when they did let us leave, they had 2 drivers drive everybody from America, because a lot of people were from other countries. So they got a car and they had 2 drivers switching off, driving us back. So drove us back to Kansas City, drove me back to Kansas City. I think another person went back to like Minnesota. So it was just nonstop driving. They drove us straight to our houses. So it was just a matter of spreading.
Okay.
Very little answers. Nobody really knew anything. So. Yeah,
I remember talking about that, and you said it wasn't too bad for you, but you felt so bad for your wife who had to just deal with life while you were just sitting there locked on a cruise ship.
Yeah, a lot of Uno. I had a lot of friends I met. I had Netflix, I had a balcony, so I had a lot of friends coming over every day. We were just watching shows. It was a pretty good time. I was doing everything I would have did here on the ship, and so. So,
were you? Did you tell me that you were when the lockdown first happened? You were locked in your employee room.
So they did. They didn't really want us to get together in groups. So. A lot of time they did want us to stay in our rooms. We could roam the ship pretty freely. It's just they didn't necessarily want us to be in large groups.
What kind of freedoms did you have as far as like the food and drinks?
There was a plethora of food. We never would have ran out. There was like 10. It's a huge ship, so there's like 10 restaurants. We had plenty of food, plenty of drinks. Actually ran out of cigarettes at one point, so I mean anyone who smoked, it didn't affect me, but anyone who smoked, there was a little antsy for a few days. But plenty of food, nothing to worry about on that end. They had all kinds of toiletries. I mean, again, in the end, we all ended up getting our own room, and so I was in a guest cabin, and so
with a balcony,
with a view of Miami, and it was beautiful.
That is fascinating, and yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing, maybe it was pictures of you on Facebook, just like maybe building a card tower or something.
I did build a card tower.
Was that what I remember seeing?
That is right.
That's been a few years. I'll post some pictures. I'll find the pictures and post them up on that.
I think it kind of sheds light on the importance of being kind of versatile and maybe not having just one stream of income. Okay. I mean, what other ways can we make money, in music? I mean, like you said, your business didn't necessarily stop. You were still able to operate. You also perform, and it's great that you had those other streams of income. Yeah, I remember probably April or May was the first time I saw somebody wear a mask. When I actually got to leave a cruise ship, and it was because I don't even know why I didn't think anyone would be wearing it, but yeah, it was kind of still a shock.
So when you got off the ship, it was it was wear a mask?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
straight to wearing a mask.
What was the first show you played where you thought, okay, all this hard work and this is what I want to do, and that was a show that you walked on stage and thought, okay, this is cool, this is what I wanted to do? And do you have an idea what that show would be?
I do. So it would be my freshman year of college. I went to Kansas City, Kansas Community College. So there was a soul food restaurant in Olathe that had just opened up, and my family knew the owners, and I had been going around to some restaurants and asking, if they ever had music and would they want some. And so I was wearing a suit, and I was going into all the wrong places, just the places that would never have music.
Yeah.
But I went out, and that was something I always wanted to do, was just play and try to make my own opportunities. So I went into this particular place, and they were interested, and they asked for some recordings if I had anything of myself. I didn't.
Yeah.
I went and got a group together. We rehearsed. I recorded some of the rehearsal, went back and showed them, and that was my first gig that I had got on my own. And I had hired a few players around town that I had just met through some jam sessions, and just had a great time doing it. But that's having to put the group together, having to negotiate pay. I didn't at that time, and we didn't make anything really on that gig. But it was a great learning experience, and having to do all of that and kind of started me off. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I love music. I want to play it, whenever I can, and that's where it started.
Yeah, that's really cool. Was it a jazz?
Yes. So nice. It was a quartet. So it was Jeff Shirley, a great guitar player around town. So he actually was playing bass on this gig. And then I had a drummer who ended up backing out. So I had another friend of mine play congas, and then there was a piano player who's no longer in the city, but had him on keys. And
yeah,
it was everybody loved it. It was a great time. We played for tips, and I think that was the last time I did that.
Yeah. That's a good segue into the next question. But I was going to say, Jim Mara was your professor at KCC. He's really good about pushing his students to get out there and play.
Yes.
I've noticed that, and Brett Jackson's out there now, and I've noticed a lot of his students are just out there playing gigs like crazy. And they're like, that one young man I was talking about, he's playing a lot of shows already. And they're good players, and they get out there and play, and you just get better. And you have fun, and you kind of see the rewards of your hard work. So do you have suggestions on a young musician on how to get gigs, book gigs, determine pay, how to dress? Yeah.
So there were, you had just mentioned Jim Mayer, and he taught me a lot about all of that. So some of the greatest advice he ever gave me, I remember having conversations in his office, and I was just like, how can I get my name out there? How can I get more gigs? What can I do? Why would anyone want to play with me if they don't know me?
Yeah.
And some of the greatest advice he gave me was money talks. I mean, people, it matters if you can play, but I mean, if you really want to get out on the scene, you have the opportunity. Money talks. We play for money, and I mean, if you're a great guy, which he mentioned I was, and I was honest. If you have the money and the opportunity, people will play with you.
Yeah. So you said you played that gig for basically tips. Is that something that you would probably recommend someone doesn't do, or is that something if you just have a new group and you want to get out there and get some practice, get some exposure? Or is it best just to hold out and say, hey, we're worth money, we've worked hard for this, and we deserve to get paid?
Yeah, I think for somebody in my position, a young player, just looking for opportunity, if it was just me and I wanted to play and just be able to be comfortable, have developed the stage presence, that would work for me. I had nothing. I had nothing riding on it. I just wanted the opportunity. And there's a lot of people who would play with you for that. So I mean, that worked for me for a certain period. I think it's not something that everyone would agree to, especially more of an established musician. But I mean that I think that was important. I mean to know that if you want to do this for a living, you do need to make money on it. But Also, there is a place to start.
Right. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you. Do you have any projects or fun gigs or shows coming up?
So currently, nothing for the rest of the year. I did play a few fun shows last month in Omaha. So with a wedding band, I was in. So played some shows out there. Had a great time. Yeah. Nothing for the rest of the year.
What groups are you playing in?
So there's a band that plays around the Midwest called KC Flow. It's under Patrick Lentz Entertainment. And then also just a few gigs through Diamond Empire Band. So,
okay. Fun. And you're playing mainly saxophone in those bands?
Yeah, sax, tenor, yeah.
Tenor. When somebody calls you to play a gig, do you have a list of questions that you're ready to ask them, like call time, pay, and do you try to set minimums of what you're willing to take when someone calls you for a gig?
Yeah. So I do have a few questions. Yeah, where is it? I have to count in drive time. How many instruments do you want me to play? Is it, am I gonna be doubling?
Yeah.
What do I need to wear? What do I need to bring? Is it gonna be outside? Is it gonna be inside? Those kind of basic questions. And yeah, I mean, pay does take account into that. Typically, I'm not, playing anything under $100. So I mean, maybe that's okay. I think that's probably where I would say the minimum would be.
Yeah, that's a good minimum. What are some of the things that you would recommend for someone to do when they're on stage and with the band to be professional and to get called back? Like, was there something that maybe someone would do that would not get them called back?
Yeah, so being prepared is something that would be important, especially to make a good first impression. I always want to make sure I have a stand. I bring a music stand just in case. I mean, even if I may not need it, I always want to have it. I've been caught in situations where they didn't say I needed one, and then I did need one, and then it makes me look unprepared when it's just an easy fix. I could bring a stand. I could bring a pencil. I can bring a sax stand. I make sure I have everything that I need because I don't want to stand. The last thing I want to do is stand out. I'd like to blend in, make it look like I belong here. I think that's the main thing that I've always tried to work on, is to make sure I blend in. I'm not sticking out in the sense that I'm missing something or I'm standing out.
That's good advice. Is there any other things that you'd bring that are extras that maybe you normally, or that someone wouldn't normally bring?
So there have been a few times where I'd bring a mic or a mic cable and a mic stand just in case, and there's one or two times where there wasn't enough, and I'd be like, I'll pull this out of my bag, and it was helpful. But I mean, other than that, everything, smart, just covering, making sure that I do my job, that I'm covered. I'm showing up early,
Yeah, that's one of my worst fears, is to show up and you're like wearing a black suit and they're like, hey, we're wearing white tonight. You're just like, well, I'm wearing black.
Yeah.
Which has happened, and like, I mean, maybe it's not happened to me, but I've been in gigs where like someone's wearing a white shirt and you're just like, hey, we're wearing black shirts tonight, and like, oh well.
Yeah.
And it's not that big a deal, but I guess with the right band leader, it might be a really big deal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you might not get called back for a gig because like this guy doesn't read text and he can't.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't matter how good of a player you are. It's, a lot of times, people want to play with people they like. So, I mean, I don't want to put myself in a position where, maybe I am a great player, but I don't show up on time. I forget something. I don't wear the right clothes, and then nobody wants to, somebody doesn't want to call you back for something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've worked really hard to where you've gotten, and I'm sure there's been some opportunities that you've wanted and auditioned for groups and didn't get in. Do you have ways that you can recommend for someone to handle rejection?
Yeah, so I actually work a full-time job in sales. So I mean, rejection is something that I deal with a lot. So just people, I mean, and really all it is just people saying no. So I mean, I think it's something we all face, and learning how to deal with it. I have to tell myself that, you know, maybe it's not anything I did. It's no could mean not now.
Yeah.
No, you know, could mean, you know, call later. No could mean, oh, you know, a lot of things. So I grew up being confident in what you have to offer often helps me. I know that I'm a great player. I know that there are groups that would love me to be a part of them. Yeah, I just having that level of confidence and assurance in what you can produce and bring to any situation like that.
Yeah, when I started getting serious about playing, when we met, it's been 5 or 6 years ago probably. I was just trying to jump into everything and just playing with everybody I could to get better. But also, I wasn't that good, so I would go play with the group and then sub for something, and then they would never call me back. And looking back, I'm thinking, well, should I have waited to jump in to do that kind of stuff? Well, after I got better, do I do the right thing and just go and play?
Yeah.
I mean, we're always going to get better.
Yeah.
And so now that it's been a few years, I'm kind of like, I'll get emergency calls from some of these people, and I'll go play with them, and they realize, oh, this guy's a lot better. And then now I'm really busy, so if they don't call me, I'm like, that's good, because I'm too busy to play with these guys anyways.
So that's the flip side of it. Instead of them telling you no, now you have to turn down things and you have to be selective.
That's hard to do too, is sometimes for me anyways, because you don't want to turn down opportunities. But somebody calls and either you have another gig, or maybe you're just like, I haven't had a weekend off in 6 months, I'd like to have a weekend off, but do I say no to this opportunity because it could be really fun? Yeah. To me, it's got to be fun. I mean, that's a criteria. It's got to be fun. Hopefully it pays pretty good, but it's got to pay something. Yeah. Although if it's really fun and it doesn't pay that well, I mean, that could be okay too.
I mean, yeah. If there's a lot of friends who I have, and I just adore playing with them. Yeah. And I'll take any opportunity they send over just to be able to play and make music with them. So yeah, definitely.
Do you have any gigs that you took where you were just like, once you got there, you thought, what am I doing here? What did I get myself into?
Yeah. So
you don't have to name any names.
Actually, I will refrain.
Let's not name any names.
There was bleep. Yeah. So there are a few. There was a big band I've played in the past, and it was a referral from a referral. So a guy I had known before in the past, not very well, but he said, you know, hey, this guy's looking for a sax player. And so I was like, you know, okay, like I'm, you know, looking to, you know, just to play. You know, this was years ago. I was just looking for opportunities, and I went, and it was just all, you know, everybody was sight reading. You know, the whole gig. It was we just kept getting lost. While playing, and it was a dance band. So I mean, where it was for people dancing. So it was just rough to get through, and it was like 3 hours, one break, and I just couldn't wait for it to end, just because I was more that I wasn't a confident sight reader rather than the group. Yeah. I felt like I was adding to the chaos happening. So I think it was more of a personal problem with the fact that I couldn't read as well as I knew I should, and that this was something that I knew I should have been working on, and I wasn't. So.
Okay, Charles, I have a lightning round.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. What are you listening to right now?
Yeah, so there's this alto player named Braxton Cook, who I enjoy listening to him. I've been listening to him for probably 3 or 4 years now. He's got a few, there's actually 2 NPR performances. So one he did with a trumpet player, and then one he did on his own back in 2020. And yeah, he sings as well, so I just enjoy a well-rounded musician.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's interesting because there's been so much good content that was released during the COVID time. Yeah. And these people that weren't performing live went to their basements or their whatever and just made these amazing recordings. And so there's so much good stuff right now because of that. Yeah. They weren't making any money, but we got some great content out of the deal. Yeah. Kind of like this content. What's your favorite thing about being a musician?
Yeah, so I enjoy making music. It allows me to express myself in a way I typically wouldn't do. I'm more of a reserved, quiet guy in general, and I love being able to just create something and be able to speak this language that, you know, everybody enjoys music, and just being able to play it at high quality with other people, I find joy in that. Nice.
What's your least favorite thing about being a musician?
Yeah, so as far as, you know, playing, I'm not a big fan of rehearsals or even, you know, gigs longer than 3 hours. Typically that's you know, the energy kind of drains, especially, you know, a high energy show where it's like a, you know, a cover band or anything like that.
Yeah.
I love to put a lot of energy into it, but once it's gone, it's really tough to get over that hump.
What's your favorite app that you like to use on your phone to practice?
So currently I use a metronome, just any generic metronome app. I use that a lot, but also Amazing Slowdowner. So being able to, you know, upload any kind of recording in there, and then just being able to slow it down so I can transcribe it and play along with it.
Okay.
So.
Nice. How early should you or anyone arrive to a gig?
Yeah, typically I like to be there 30 minutes early, just to allow me to have time to figure out where I'm supposed to be. You know, is there a green room? Where can I set up? Where do I put my case after that? So allows me to not have to stress out about it, not have to worry about finding parking. So just gives me ample time to get set up and relax and not have to worry about it.
Okay. What's something you wish you would have practiced more when you were younger?
Yeah, so long tones have always been something that I know were important. I know it. I've never really had a very big sound, and I know that's because of, you know, long tones that I hadn't done in the past. And so, just being able to play long tones, you know, at a full volume, and just being able to build and develop, you know, a bigger sound, and just that's probably the biggest thing on that side.
Yeah, and I'd love to have you come back and talk more about that, because you are a great teacher, and you really know how to get those fundamentals into someone's head that can make them a lot better player. So let's plan on doing that.
Definitely.
Yeah. What's something you wish you hadn't practiced that was a waste of time?
Yeah, so I think I spent a lot of time practicing instruments that I wasn't going to play long term. So I had a trombone that I spent a few hours just trying to play it, and it was fun, but it didn't really help me out. I don't use it now. My brother played trumpet, and so I used to play around with his trumpet as well. So I think it's nice to know the workings of those instruments, especially when it comes to teaching. But as far as investing too much time into it, I don't think I got much out of it, you know, moving forward, looking back at it now.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And then the last one is, what's your favorite double?
So bass clarinet is that's my favorite double. It's almost my favorite instrument. I spent a lot of time in high school and even college playing that. So I played in an honors band in high school on that, and it's not necessarily a fan of the music that we get to play, as you know, on bass clarinet, but as far as just the horn and the timbre of it, and just how it speaks is really what I love about it.
Yeah, I remember we were supposed to play bass clarinet in the big band, and we never did.
Yeah,
those charts never came up for some reason. What bass clarinet are you playing on?
So I have a Selmer horn that I play on for bass clarinet. Not really using anything in particular for the mouthpiece now. I've got a few that I'm kind of running through. Nothing set as far as setup, but I've got a Selmer bass clarinet.
Nice. Yeah, those are great clarinets.
Yeah.
What's your tenor saxophone setup?
Yeah, so I play on a Cannonball tenor I play Jazz Select, reeds, and then I have a Meyer 5 mouthpiece.
Nice. Thanks so much for coming. So glad to have you on the channel. And if you don't mind, let's play your sax for a minute.
All right, let's do it.
Cool. Thank you. Nice. Yeah, I can do that.